Three tallest NBA players in NBA history. Currently, the Houston Rockets are playing small ball, with their tallest player in the starting lineup at 6 feet 7 inches. This was the same Houston Rockets team that had Yao Ming at center not too long ago. If Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming were in their prime together in Houston, some believe that Houston would have a couple rings on their fingers. It's hard being tall, as careers fall short after the body breaks down. Keep watching to learn about the three tallest players in NBA history, and how they're feeling about life after basketball. Gheorghe Muresan, 7'7". Gheorghe Muresan is a retired Romanian professional basketball player. At 7 feet 7 inches, he is tied with Sudanese player Manute Bol as the tallest to ever play in the NBA. Muresan was taller than Yao Ming. Like Bol, both his parents are of average size, but unlike Bol, his great height is the result of a pituitary disorder. Gheorghe's short NBA career lasted parts of 6 seasons, and he saw action with the Washington Bullets and the New Jersey Nets. In the 1995-96 season, he was named the NBA's most improved player. Gheorghe really wanted to become something more than just a tall basketball player. "I was working like crazy to be a good player," Gheorghe said. "It made me feel good that my work was appreciated. I felt I accomplished something. I had a very good season that year and was in very good shape and took care of my body. The key to being a good player is to take care of yourself. I had my wife with me and I didn't chase girls. Chasing girls will get you tired. I've seen a lot of players get tired from late nights chasing girls." At 7 feet 7 inches, you could only imagine how many eyes he would catch at a nightclub or a bar. Instantly, as a fan, you know who he is and what he does. It's easy to get caught up in all that, but Gheorghe made good choices. Because Gheorghe was tall, you'd think he had an easy time defending anyone in the league during his time. That wasn't the case. He agreed that some players were impossible to guard, even with his 7'7" frame. "When I played, there were very good centers. Patrick Ewing, Rick Smits, and in the Western Conference, there were some very strong players like Hakeem Olajuwon," Gheorghe admitted. "After playing Shaquille O'Neal, my shoulders were sore for 2 days, and my body got beat up bad. He was so strong." Because Gheorghe was so tall, when he retired from the game, he felt crippled. He needed to get back surgery. While his mind continued to tell him he could play, his body wouldn't allow him to. That's the territory that comes with being 7 feet and 7 inches. He spoke about retiring early in his professional career and how hard it was. "It was hard," Gheorghe explained. "I retired because of back surgery. My back was in really bad shape. My mind wanted to play, but my body said otherwise, and that is when I retired. I said I was too young to retire from playing basketball. I played another year in Europe. After I retired, I was so used to getting up and going to the gym, and when it was done, I missed the feeling. So for me, it was very hard, but it was a decision I had to make. I had no choice." Height is everything in the game of basketball. While it could certainly help you dominate the game, extreme height on the basketball court could derail a career very quickly. If it weren't for a series of back, ankle, and nerve injuries, Gheorghe may have been even more dominant than he looked. Gheorghe was an instant fan favorite when he came into the league. He was 92.4 inches of brick wall. Gheorghe would swat any basketball that came his way so fast and furious. He would rebound with ease, and use his insane height to operate in the post to sink hook shots right in the net. Those hook shots are now a lost art. Early in his career, he used his height to an extreme advantage. It was clear though that Muresan's skills were not sharp. He was growing as a man as well as a player. Once he hit the NBA draft in 1993, he worked his tail off with the Washington Bullets trainers to hone his skills, and became an NBA center. In his rookie year, Gheorghe averaged just 5.6 points and 3.6 rebounds in just 12 minutes per game. The next year, his stats jumped to 10 points and 6.7 rebounds while playing 23.6 minutes per game. Of course, Gheorghe would have the best season of his short career in the 1995-96 campaign, where he was the most improved player of the year. He raised his scoring by 4.5 points, rebounds by 2.9, and blocks by 0.6. The Bullets finished 4th in the Atlantic Division with a 39-43 record, which was an impressive 18-game improvement over their previous season. However, the Bullets missed the playoffs for the 8th consecutive year. He had the best season of his career with 15.5 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks. He also led the NBA in field goal percentage that year, shooting 58.4% from the field. When he moved on from Washington, Muresan suffered 2 major foot injuries, which put an end to his career with the Nets. He played in just 31 of 164 games over 2 years. Doctors learned he had a pinched nerve that was possibly acquired by eating bad fish. This prolonged his injury that much longer. Muresan retired from the NBA in 2000, but returned as a professional in the early 2000s in France and for the American Basketball Association. If Gheorghe Muresan did not get injured those 2 years, it's predicted that his scoring and rebounding numbers would have looked like 18 to 20 points per game. and 12 to 13 rebounds per game, better than most bigs in the NBA. He was not flashy, but he proved his height could be a major force down low. George once dropped a career-high 27 points to go with 11 rebounds and 4 blocks, on an impressive 11 for 15 shooting against Michael Jordan and the 72-10 to beat Chicago Bulls in 1996. It's clear that the potential skill was there, but being so tall significantly plagued his career. Manute Bol, 7'6", inches. Manute Bol was standing at 7 feet and 7 inches, and to this day is still one of the tallest players in NBA history. Bol made NBA history as he had more blocks than points in his entire career. Unfortunately, Manute Bol died in 2010 at the age of 47. However, this wouldn't be so strange if his former coach at Cleveland State, Kevin Mackey, believed Bol was much older than people thought he was. After recruiting him for Cleveland State, upon his arrival to the States, Bol didn't know what his actual age was. Naturally, Mackey made up a date for his birthday and said nobody knew how old he was at the time. I gave him his birthday because they didn't know how old he was. Bol had no idea of his age, and the kid who came over with him didn't know how old he was. No one knew how old he was. What is even crazier is that Mackey thinks Bol might have been in his early 40s when he came to the US back in 1984. He never actually played for Cleveland State because of enrollment issues, but Mackey remembers him still to this day, and the fact that he was probably much older than what was believed by everyone. I want to make sure he was young enough because he didn't have an age. I think he was in his 40s, I really do, but there's no way of ever really knowing. Every athletic door is open at 19. Every athletic door is closed when you're 35. He was probably 40, 50 years old when he was playing in the NBA. Imagine 50-year-old Bol getting minutes in the NBA. Bol ended his NBA career with the Golden State Warriors in 1995. He was probably 50 and still playing in the NBA. There were several similar stories in different sports about players presenting themselves to be younger than they are, so they get a contract. Bol might have known how old he was, but he might not have. Nevertheless, if that might be the case with Bol and his age, it's even more fascinating if he was able to play in the NBA at the age of 40 and 50, and still be a solid role player. He worked on his craft and is still to this day remembered as one of the best shot blockers in NBA history. His son Bol Bol was selected by the Miami Heat with the 44th pick in the NBA draft. He was later traded to the Denver Nuggets and hasn't made his debut in the NBA, as he's currently in the G League. Yao Ming, 7'6". Yao Ming made an extreme impact in the NBA as a 7'6" center for the Houston Rockets. Ming brought an entire Chinese fan base to the NBA and helped the league grow worldwide with his presence alone. Yao was known for always taking the time to sign autographs, and really just made everyone's day. When you're the height of Yao Ming and put up the stats that he did, people want to take pictures with you all the time. Yao said that after his career finished that some of his habits haven't changed. What he did before and after games to the fans, he says is how he is as a person. I treated other fans the same way I did later on in life, so some of my habits have always stayed with me. Yao talked about what he learned from the game, and more importantly, what he learned about himself when he played in the league. Basketball-wise, it's a competitive sport, so oftentimes we focus solely on our opponents, Ming said in an interview with ESPN. Philosophically, I started to learn about myself from within. Once you have faced your true self, then you are really able to face the outside world and people. So essentially, you need to ease your mind first, and figure out who you are before you will know where you want to go. Ming is an NBA Hall of Famer, and did some incredible things for the sport on and off the court. In the Basketball Hall of Fame enshrinement, Dikembe Mutombo, Bill Russell, and Bill Walton presented Yao at his speech. He chose them personally. Before the event, he had this to say: "I'm extremely honored to ask all three of them to present me and introduce me to the Hall of Fame. These three individuals are all famous big men among NBA history. What can I say about Bill Russell? 11 championships. Even though he has just 10 fingers, he has 11 rings. I'd really wish he could spare me one. Bill Walton has been a tremendous mentor, especially when I first came to the league. And I'm very close with Mutombo. We played 5 seasons together with the Rockets, which were more than half of my career. I'm really glad that they were willing to be my presenters." Ming enjoyed plenty of playoff runs, but was never able to win a ring with Tracy McGrady and the Houston Rockets. Yao talked about his biggest challenges in life, and you could be sure that his height was one of them. Though some moments were hard to conquer, they were really not that big of a deal when I look back now, and I did not overcome all of those difficult moments. It's easy to say now, but maybe I just hung in there and grinded it out. The more important thing is the lessons learned, experience, and moving forward. What's lined up for the future, and what kind of differences can I make? Yao Ming came into America and had to learn his English as quickly as he could. He said that he had to get through the process and learn about differences, and search for commonalities. During the process, we have to understand our differences while searching for commonality. People are different, but it's crucial to have commonalities. We should not focus on our differences. After all, this is not China, and we shouldn't force our way of living to the American people. We chose to come to an entirely different country, therefore we should accept and respect their culture and rules. His teammate and Rockets star guard Tracy McGrady wrote an article for ESPN and said if Yao and himself were in their prime and injury-free, the Rockets would have won a championship. Ming was hesitant in agreeing, however. We can't say what if. What I hope to see is we could have done better, how we could have created a better outcome. I think it would have been great to sit down with old friends, reminisce a little bit, but we should not immerse ourselves in it. Like every center, there are so many what ifs. Bodies break down at 7 feet and 6 inches, and 7 feet and 7 inches. Height is great for the game, but it's extremely hard to play a storied long career at that height. Players like LeBron James and Michael Jordan have played long careers in the NBA. They've kept themselves healthy and found ways to prolong their careers. At this height, it seems like no matter what you do, your body will break down. It's unfortunate, but without the height, maybe only Yao would be good enough to play in the NBA at all. Some of these athletes got paid for just being tall. It's interesting to think about.